everybody. Lord Tremendous here. Got another book review for you. And this one is actually really, really good. I was surprised. I just kind of picked it out at random. I was on Amazon looking around, and it's called Stray Magic, and it is by Jenny Schwartz. And it's got about 41 customer reviews, so it was below the 50 that I usually look for. And this author, I think it's a 3-book series, but it looks like maybe it goes into a fourth. It's advertised as a 3-book series, so we're gonna go with that. It is only available on Kindle Unlimited, from what I can see. Although I'm sure there's a way for you to buy it. I think you can get it for like $4.99, but it is available on Kindle Unlimited. That's how I got it because I have the what's it called? The subscription, and I really actually like that a lot. It is about 152 pages, give or take, and it was published on January 26th, 2019. And obviously it was self-published. This one's doing really good, though. It's like 8,111 on Amazon's bestsellers rank, 46 in science fiction, stuff like that. So it's pretty good. It's definitely fantasy, but it's like modern fantasy, if that makes any sense. It's set in our world, our current timeline, and basically it has to do with there's a mystical shield that is protecting the Earth, our realm, our planet, from these horrible, vowelless species of rabid insects that are also technologically advanced. Basically, if that shield goes down, they'll invade and kill and enslave all humanity. So mystical creatures, the Faerine, show up when we do some horrible things and our shield kind of goes down. The Faerun, which are basically all the mystical creatures that you've ever heard about: dragons, griffins, orcs, ogres, goblins, what else? Nymphs, succubus, vampires, werewolves. They all show up. They're all allies. They all show up and basically they save us from the weird insect locust things from another dimension, but in order to do so, they have to knock us back to the Renaissance age. It's very interesting. The main character her name is Amy. She's a rich girl, but her parents kind of use their money to like raise her, I guess, for lack of a better way to put it. And so instead of like really having any real good emotional ties with her parents, although she does love them, she's learned a whole bunch of different skills. And at first I was a little worried. I'm like, oh man, this girl's going to be a Mary Sue. She's going to know how to do everything. No, the author did not fall into that pitfall. The girl had a general knowledge on how to do all these things. She was not a Mary Sue. Things did not come, like, she wasn't just excellent at everything. And when she needed help, she had the presence of mind to know that. It's a strong character. It really is. And when the poop hits the fan, she gets allies, she gets help. And I'll get into that more with the spoiler side of it. The only real issue I had with the book is, and it's very, very nitpicky, I know, before I say it, I know it, but it was everybody's reaction to losing modern, I don't know, I guess luxuries like, electricity and stuff like that. Like plastic goes away, anything plastic just disappears, things like that when the Faerine show up. It's just according to the book, like everybody's response to that is an American's response. And I'm sorry, but there's a lot of places in the world, places in Africa, places in the Middle East, places in Europe. Hell, there's places here where the loss of electricity, running water, and plastics really wouldn't change up their lives so much, so it really wouldn't affect them that much. I mean, there's even places in China, where it's a more traditional lifestyle where that really wouldn't bother them. But when it all goes away, the whole world has the American reaction, and so, needless to say, a lot of people die. But it's just that, again, I know it's nitpicky. I know, but it bothered me enough that it kind of hurt the story for me a little bit. because it was just too simplistic. If you're going to do Armageddon, then you got to take into consideration all the different cultures and how they would probably respond to something that really would only bother quote unquote first world areas and stuff. Also, the author, and again, this is just a pet peeve of mine. Please take this with a huge grain of salt. But they, of course, since it's an apocalyptic type of situation, obviously from the book cover, as you can see, it literally says Faerine Apocalypse. Um, she calls an AR rifle an assault rifle, and that's not right. And there's no such thing as an assault rifle. I know. I am splitting hairs, but it bothered me. It tweaked me a little bit, and so that kind of irritated me about the story. She gets a couple of military things wrong, and I know, not a big deal in the grand scheme. I'm well aware, but damn it, I have my issues, and that's gonna be one of them. So really, it's no fault on the author. It's chalked up to ignorance, and in the dictionary sense of the word. So I guess it's not that big of a deal, but it is going to affect my overall enjoyment of the book. So yes, just the way nobody else's culture in the world was really, just kind of fine, just okay, because the Faerine don't attack us at all. They do some other stuff, and I'll get into that with the spoilers, but they don't really attack us like you would think, like the interdimensional bug things were. So you got to take that into consideration. But other than that, though, I mean, the story is solid. It is book one, so it's not a complete story, but it sets a very, very solid foundation for the overall story. I have not read book 2 or 3, but I plan to. I enjoyed this one enough that I plan on going back and reading book 2 and 3 because it was enjoyable. It's very good, and I'm very curious to see what happens. But yeah, all in all, I'm going to give this one a 4.5 out of 5 because I can't give it a 5. I wanted to, but the culture difference, the way everybody like just kind of collapsed when certain things went away all over the world, and then just the military jargon being wrong. I mean, no disrespect, but if you're going to write about it, Google is your friend. If you're not real confident about it, it takes 10 seconds to type in what does AR stand for, and it will show you Armalite rifle. It's just, again, these are super nitpicky things. I'm super aware of that, but I can't in good conscience ignore it and not report it correctly on the review channel. If you're looking for someone to lie to you, go find someone that takes compensation for their reviews. Oh yeah, I said it. There we go. Shots fired. I didn't use an assault rifle. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and do my countdown and get into the spoilers because I'm actually looking forward to talking about this book. All right, you're still here, so here come the spoilers. So the book starts off, and this girl, Amy, I think she's early 20s, is a camp counselor at a 6-kid retreat somewhere out in the boonies. It's called Appfall Hills or something like that. Hill Falls, something like that. Appfall Hill. Anyway, it doesn't matter. It's a rural area, and while they're there, she sees she's taking care of the kids and everything like that, and she's new there. She kind of handles all the dirty work. Like the book literally starts, which I thought was great, with her changing sheets that have piss all over them. So I was like, oh, okay, this one starts off dirty, and she, you get to introduce to her and stuff like that, and she kind of gives you, her life story about how her parents paid for her to be distracted because they weren't good parents. But it's not like they didn't love her. They just didn't want to be parents. So she's got a whole bunch of different skills. She can shoot, she can hunt, she can fish, she can make things. She, basically anything you get into, she got into. She's a karate, I don't want to say expert, but she's familiar with karate. I don't believe she's a black belt, but I think it definitely shows later on that she's got fighting skills and just things like that. So, she's like a tomboy, basically, with better training. So anyway, while they're at this camp, all of a sudden the news starts showing a red dragon flying around Manhattan, and everyone thinks it's a hoax at first. Somebody's just kind of making it up. and then a green dragon shows up, and then griffins start showing up, and then somewhere in China there's a roving band of ogres. They're not doing anything, they're not attacking or anything like that, but they're around, and people are like, this is a crazy hoax. Well, eventually the military around the world, actually it's just in America, this figure out, hey, this isn't a hoax, these are actual dragons and crazy mythical creatures. So they fire a single nuke at the red dragon, who eats it. Yeah, just eats it. The nuke has no effect whatsoever. So they just kind of give up. The military just kind of gives up trying to fight these things off altogether. This, of course, turns into serious rioting and looting in the cities, and society starts breaking down. The military and the police in the book do try to fight people back, in order to protect other people. But needless to say, you can imagine it says apocalypse on the cover, so it does not work out for humanity very well. So as everyone's panicking and stuff like that, the dragon basically goes on TV, uses magic to translate what it's saying for all of us to understand it, and basically tells everybody, listen, your humanity as a whole has ruined the planet so bad that the mystical barrier that's protecting you from all the bad things in the universe has been breached. We got here first and were able to come through that breach in order to protect you from the evil dimensional insect things that would come here and eat you all like they were locusts. So we're here to stop your horrible trend of destroying everything. Yes, it's got a little bit of an environmental message to it, but it's still a fantasy story. So anyway, the dragon goes further to tell them, you will have electricity for the next 3 days. After that, it's going away. Shortly after that, all petroleum products are going away. We're going to use, magic exists, and we're going to use it to get rid of all this stuff and put all your petroleum back into the planet. And after that, all your weapons are going to go away. So we're basically going to put you back into the Renaissance age. So get ready, because everything you've been doing is bad. Also, since it's quite obvious that a lot of people are going to die, don't worry about bodies. We are going to cast a spell that makes a human body immediately biodegrade back into the earth. Although animals and stuff like that don't seem to be affected, because they do hunt them a lot after this all starts happening. So it's just humans. So needless to say, that does nothing to calm people down, but the main character hooks up with an old lady in town through her niece or her aunt or something, one of the ladies that she's working with at the camp, who basically has this big house that she stays in, and in order to take care of all this, or just, she stays in this big house. So they go to this house, and it gets a little convenient here because the old lady is kind of ready for all this. She never threw anything away. All of her stuff isn't in horrible disrepair. It's just dusty. I know, but I can work with that. Then after that, they go into town and start recruiting people to live with them at their house. A 40-something-year-old former army sergeant and some gay guy that was the son of the local mechanic in town. Again, it's a little convenient, a little odd, but okay, sure. It doesn't take that. It's not that far of a leap for me. Then they start trading for supplies and everything like that to get ready for when the electricity and plastic and all that stuff goes away. And they fix up this house in the space of a few days using all the people that are living with them now and staying with them. They get some dogs, which I'm always for. They get some livestock, basically all the farming and livestock stuff that they'll need to survive the winter and deal with everything else that's coming out, because they're looking to survive the long haul. Plus, they want to be able to protect their area, which I thought was very smart. I really did. She did have some survivalist training, because of course she did, but also so did the army sergeant. So luckily for her, she found an infantry guy, because a finance guy probably wouldn't have been a whole lot of help in that situation. And stuff like that. So everything that the dragon said was going to happen does. The electricity goes out, the plastic disappears, their weapons all eventually disappear. The weapons take a little bit longer, and honestly, I think that was because the author wanted to show that the town was coming together to protect itself, because needless to say, like a few carloads of bandits you get to see come in the town, and they try to get past the barricade and start shooting at everybody. and she shoots back. She actually does kill somebody. They kill off the bandits, all of them. And I thought that was really smart. Instead of trying to keep them prisoner or reason with them or anything like that, they're just like, oh no, you got to go. I really, really respected that in the book. The fact that it went there was impressive. So that really, again, this is a good story. So anyway, they survive. The first winter and months after that, they go through a typhoid thing because people weren't washing their hands. The scumbags they don't last long. Like the bullies and the people that are just trying to take without giving, they get taken out. They don't make it, and I like that. You're not going to see Walking Dead Negan running around in this town. Everybody contributes, or you can take a long walk. You know what I mean? And I like that. It's intelligent. A lot of people still die in the town. Her friend from the camp that hooked her up with the old lady she stays with, she dies because of this whole disease thing that happens. Not to mention, some people just commit suicide and other people get hurt when they get attacked and stuff like that. So she kind of helps out the local doctor in town because she always wanted to be a doctor, so she has some basic medical training. So she starts helping out the people around the town to the point where she gets the whole western side of the town. And her ability at healing people, even though she's not really doing anything, she's got a better survival rate than the doctor or the nurse on the east side who ended up dying of typhoid herself. So nobody really thinks anything of that. They respect her in the community because she's been saving a lot of lives and doing a lot of good. So they survive all that, and they start to have a celebration, like a harvest celebration, because they've been doing it. They're proud of themselves. And during that festival, a griffin shows up and says, "I need Amy." And she's like, "What?" But she comes forward, and the griffin is like, "You're coming with me. We need to talk to you." And of course, the town people are like, "No, we're not cool with that." But at the same time, they're basically talking to a mythical creature that could destroy them all with magic, and they know that, and all their weapons are gone. Like, literally, they have some knives and stuff like that, but they've all been disappeared. So they don't have anything to really attack or defend with anymore. So the griffin, yeah, you want to arm wrestle a lion? You go right ahead. So they kind of protest a little bit, but eventually she goes with them. And she shows up in the middle of this field where Manhattan used to be. Manhattan is just leveled. It has been sunk back into the earth, so it's gone. And she recognizes that for exactly what it is. This is what we can do to your cities, no problem. You're coming with us. And it's not like this devastated wasteland or anything. That's kind of like an Eden. They've really turned it around. So she gets there, and the griffin explains, "You're coming with us because you're going to be one of the recruits, one of the first recruits to become a familiar, because you can use magic. Something about being returned to the Renaissance age, and maybe our proximity to you has awakened the ability in a handful of humans to use magic." And so out of the 7 billion people that were on the planet when they showed up, only 1 billion are left. And out of that billion, 100 people have shown the aptitude for magic. Only we're all using it subconsciously, including Amy. And they explained to her, you were using it to heal people. That's why the west side of your town did so well. You were healing them. Just a little bit, but it was enough. So that explains that. And I really liked the way that circle was complete. I thought that was really well done by the author. So anyway, they get to the training, and the training is really rough. Basically, they're trying to figure out if these people can control the magic and what their aptitude for the magic is like. What kind of magic are they good at channeling? Whether it's healing magic, defensive magic, offensive magic, some sort of support magic. I don't know, but stuff like that. And they go through some pretty horrible stuff. They got to fight each other, which not everyone can really do. Some people they have to they live in tents and they have to give up all their clothes, which honestly isn't a huge shift for a lot of them. But there's a lot of mistrust. There's a lot of I don't really like you and stuff like that. But the problem is they don't have a choice. Well, that's not entirely true. They have a choice. They can always leave the training, but if they leave the training, they die. They literally tell them, yeah, you'll be executed. So take that for what you will. They're not doing anything overly aggressive, but at the same time, they definitely the Faerine definitely have all the cards, and they know that. And needless to say, humans aren't a huge fan of that scenario. So there's a lot of people that refuse. Like right off the bat, two or three of them just like, kill me then. I don't want to be here anymore. And they disappear. They bye. So after a little while, they get down to about 87 people, and they do something called the vigil or something like that, where basically they go a night without food and water or sleep, and they're going to meditate through some magical shenanigans that the Faerine are going to do in order to try to unlock their magical potential. And it kind of works. It was supposed to be used like it's an elvish rite of passage, and they thought since humans and elves are so similar, it would be okay, and they were wrong. 30 people, like it basically just tears their psyche open and exposes them to some of their worst demons, and they have to accept themselves, or just lobotomize them. It's really bad. And out of the 87 people that took part, 54 remain when they all wake up, including the main character, Amy. Yay! But of course, now her magic is awoken in her, and it's not super strong magic. The Faerine, they are way more powerful than humans because we're just being awoken into it, and it's really well explained in the book. I'm giving you a very brief synopsis. You need to check the book out; it's really good. But anyway, they go ahead and they kind of start pairing them off with everybody, and the main character, Amy, who really wanted to be with like a unicorn or a goblin because they do healing magic and they're compassionate, gets set up with this real like stoic and broody griffin named Istvar. And both of them are like, nah, this ain't gonna work out. But it really does. Like the first thing they do is they make an enchanted item. And even the king, like the elven king that's kind of in charge of it all, goes, holy crap, that was impressive. And she barely felt anything. She's like, yeah, I felt like a tingling, but I didn't really realize what happened. So the book ends with her and the Griffin heading back to North America to be part of the community that Amy left at the Aphill Farms or whatever. And it's cool because it sets it up really nice for them to kind of get along. Like she went through the trials, you kind of know who the Griffin is, and she gets an ally along the way, this werewolf guy named Rory, who they're trying to, the author is trying to church, he wants to mate with her. I mean, plain simple and to the point. He's all but pissed on her leg, and she knows it, and he's attractive and he doesn't sparkle in the sunlight, so I guess she's all for that. But he comes with as kind of like a guardian and an intermediary between the Griffin and other humans, because the Griffin doesn't want to really deal with humans. He wants to just kind of reign over North America and be satisfied with that. So they are heading back to her town so that the Griffin can join the community, the family as she calls it, that she created there, not only to build trust between her and him and the Griffin, but to build trust between humanity and the Faerine. And I thought that was really cool. It's a soft cliffhanger, because you could actually conceivably not read another book after this one and be somewhat content with the fact that it probably all worked out. I mean, probably not, but just, it's like you don't have to read the next book. It was kind of like that soft ending that was, it was good enough. But the fact that book 2 and 3 are already out and you can finish the stories if you want, that would be excellent. And the whole thing is excellent. So I really enjoyed it. It's a quick read. It's an easy read. The grammar, the spelling, everything is on point. I got no problem. Nothing really to complain about the book, with the exception of just, like I said, when the when the power and the plastic and all that stuff, all the modern luxuries go away, the whole world freaks out, because according to the book, the whole world has American sensibilities, and I've got a problem with that, because there's a lot of places in the world, the majority of places in the world, don't have a lot of those luxuries. And if they do, it's not a defining part of their life. It's just kind of like a nicety, but they know how to do without. So I have trouble believing that the whole world would be in turmoil if all that was happening was the lights were going out and you had to do things the old-fashioned way. A lot of people just call that Tuesday in the rest of the world. Don't get me wrong, I would die. But there's a huge swath of the world that would be pretty much fine with that, including in America. So that eats at me a little bit. And then, of course, the mislabeled military weaponry and terms. That's I know I'm splitting hairs, but that's why this book is getting a 4.5 out of 5 for me. It's almost exquisite. A little bit of research, a little bit of Googling, I would have been able to put it over to a 5. I know that's not going to bother most people, so technically this book is probably a 5 out of 5. I don't think anyone that enjoys fantasy, especially modern fantasy, like where they're in modern times, is going to have a problem with this book. I think you're really, really going to enjoy it. And honestly, with the amount of stories that she has out, I'm really surprised that she doesn't have more reviews and stuff. Like this one has 40. I was the 41st. But the most reviews I've seen on any of her books is like 125. So yeah, if you're so inclined, give this book a try. Check it out. It's really worth it. But that's going to do it for this book. The next book is actually going to be an author requested book, and I did not get any compensation or anything like that for it. I got the book on Kindle Unlimited, and you'll have to wait for the next review to see which one it was. But yeah, it's the first one. So somebody reached out, and that's awesome. That's kind of what this channel is all about. So please, if you've got one that fits the criteria, and if you're looking for the criteria, check out the intro video. It's all right there. And yeah, if it fits those parameters, send me a message, and maybe we can work something out. But as always, if you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, feel free to put them in the comment section below, and I will get back to you as quick as I can. But yeah, guys, thanks.